Hey everyone, we had this discussion during our Black Phone episode, so this is a bonus episode of this discussion where we talk a little bit about kindness on the internet and being nice to the artist.
It's just something that's been bothering me, and I really wanted to... I didn't want to oversaturate the Black Phone episode with, too many non-connected
right.
Things, but I just really wanted to talk about it because this has been sitting on me for a little bit.
Yep.
And it's nice to talk about it and know also that I'm not just like by myself here with this opinion that people should be nice to each other just a little bit more.
So enjoy this. Let's have a bonus episode.
Oh, you wank. What's our seat number?
Bonus.
I wanted to talk about something. This is more in the realm of video game news, but it does kind of, segue into something that bugs me just in general. And I think it bugs you too. So, there's a long-awaited sequel to the remake of the God of War franchise. Okay? And the developers were supposed to... They said that they were going to bring out, some sort of announcement. And... For some reason, all of the gamers, all of the people on the internet just lost their shit when they weren't hearing what they were supposed to hear. Now, this was a rumor. It was never said by the company that they're going to do something, or I never saw anything that said they were going to do a thing. I just saw lots of rumors. And the game director said to everybody, please be patient. We will update you guys soon. And people were just very, very rude, and they started sending them dick pics and, and hate mail and death threat. And the same with Ron Gilbert, the director of I don't know if it's long anticipated, but they announced that they were doing a sequel to the Monkey Island games in its original sort of, 2D point-and-click adventure sort of format.
Oh, that sounds good.
But they've just given it a sort of new art style because it doesn't need to be pixelated anymore. And people didn't like the art style. I did personally. I dug it, but people were like sending him death threats and whatever. And he said, "I think I'm done posting things on Twitter and posting things online. You guys have completely sucked out my want for it." And I just wanted to say one thing about this, and then you can tell me what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Making games is hard. Making movies is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Making music is hard. Making things is fucking hard.
Yeah.
And if you're in these industries, then you know that it's hard. And if you're not in these industries, I'm sure you can understand that it's hard, because I'm sure whatever you do, listener, it's hard. And it takes exactly the same amount of energy to be nice to someone as it does to be an asshole. It's the same amount of brain power, right? So... please, when you're giving critique, when you're doing something that responds to somebody else's art output, please take an extra second to think about how you're doing it. I know that it's falling on deaf ears because the kind of person who does this sort of thing
probably doesn't listen to this podcast.
Also doesn't care about other people's feelings and doesn't have the same social cues and understanding as we do. The emotional understanding, emotional intelligence, right? And indeed intelligence. But, it really hurts me. I don't know why, just to see this sort of thing. And also, I did a playtest this week on Monday of our game Scrambled, and there was this guy who pointed out to me that there was a bug, and I said, thanks for pointing that out. And he said, go and tell the developer now, like I'm his waiter, and he's telling me. And I said, okay. And he said, this is ridiculous. And I said, I'm sorry, you haven't bought the game. We're doing a free playtest before it's been released, and obviously there are some bugs. So I'll tell him, but we'll deal with it tomorrow. He's like, why can't you deal with it now? And I'm like, because we're not going to sit here and start coding now. It's a playtest.
Right.
And he was just like picking everything apart, which is fine, but it's how he was doing it. Like he was telling me off.
I have a real problem with receiving changes, because I feel like people are very insensitive. Like you spend days working on something, either sweating your butt off, filming in the sun, and running around, lugging around heavy equipment, and trying to light a shot and trying to direct the talent or whatever it is, and then coming back and like editing for days on end, and it becomes personal. because you've made certain decisions and you've used your expertise in certain ways, and then somebody comes along and says, this isn't good and this looks crap and this is blah blah blah, and they give you a whole list of things. There are always going to be changes, always, but there is a way to get that across.
Absolutely.
There's a way to articulate it so that you don't make the person that you're talking to feel yay big.
Yeah.
And it is kind of personal, because it sometimes feels to me like an attack on 20 years of experience.
Even if that's not the intention, that's the result, because artists are extremely, extremely vulnerable. Like, you have to think about it, like, even, what you do, right? You put so much effort into how something looks, how something's framed, what the composition is. Like,
right.
People can say, oh, it's just like going around with a camera and filming. No,
it's
right?
really not.
It's really you and other filmmakers, you're very, very particular about how something looks and why it looks that way.
Right.
And it's the same with game development. I put things in an environment in a certain way for a certain reason, right? And, it's an artistic thing, and when someone comes and they're not, it's not about, like, don't say, oh, would you like me, just when you're giving critique, right? Yeah. You don't need to talk to me like I'm a naughty child, or like I've upset you.
Yeah, that's a funny thing, isn't it? Do you not get that a lot, that people tend to say, like, why have you done this? Why?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's always a reason behind why I do everything.
But Johnny, would you not have preferred, perhaps, that somebody would say to you, I really understand what you're trying to do there, but that's not exactly what I had in mind, right?
Right.
And can we try it another way?
But also, you could show a certain amount, not you personally, but the person
involved,
the client. You could show a certain amount of appreciation.
Yeah.
That like the clients that I'm working with now from the States, they always gush and wax lyrical about how great the work is and what they liked about it before they start picking it apart. And man, do they pick it apart! But at least they have a way of saying it that doesn't make me feel like I've like I've crapped in the middle of the hallway kind of thing.
Someone was pointing out, like, the whole sandwich thing about how good a thing, and I don't really care about that sort of thing, but it is about respecting the time of the person who's in front of you. So, and it goes both ways. Like, I need to respect the time of the person who's taken the time to look at my game and give me feedback, but they also need to respect the fact that I'm I worked hard on this thing. And like I had someone coming up to me like a few weeks ago, and they said, did you do the art for Scrambled? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, I did. And he was like, it's amazing. It looks great. And that made me feel, yeah. And then he said to me, like, by the way, I was doing this playtest and there was something that bugged me, and I was like, yeah, tell me about it, because he'd already got into my good graces. Right. Like, there's a certain, again, artists are very, we need to know that the art is appreciated before you start telling us how it could be better. And sometimes saying to us, there's a difference between saying objectively this might work more rather than subjectively I would have done this differently. There's a difference between those two types of feedback. And how I would have done it is not necessarily something that I need to take. How this person would have done it isn't something I need to take on board.
I think there's also a sense of entitlement that people think that you work for them. You're paying for a movie or a game or something like that. You buy it or you rent it or you pay at the box office or whatever it is. But at the same time, it's been your decision whether or not you wanna spend money on that, and the filmmakers have absolutely no obligation to you whatsoever. It's not like a sort of customer service kind of situation.
I don't like this made to order bollocks.
And there was a lot of stuff directed at George Lucas, and certain parts of it, it's warranted, but not to the extent that it was dished out at him. Like, for example, it would have been very nice, like every other director in the world aside from him, to give the consumer the original cuts as well as the special edition cuts. Yeah. Okay, but that's what there is. So I will keep buying Star Wars on every format because that's what there is. And the prequels, everybody gave him shit about the prequels, and everybody gave him shit about Crystal Skull and all that kind of stuff. But like, the fact is, you can decide not to not to consume that stuff.
Yeah, which is what I do.
And the death
again,
threats and all that stuff. Like, it's
that's the thing that bothers me. Like,
and Moses Ingram as well. And,
exactly. Like, you can not like something, but the death threat and the rude response. Like, I make fun and I say, there's only 3 Indiana Jones movies, right? But there are things to enjoy about Crystal Skull, right? And it's like, even in today's podcast, which I'm sure this little thing here is going to be put into a bonus episode. Mm-hmm. But like in the Black Phone, I have some things that bothered me, but that's what we're doing when we're doing commentary. That's not sending the director a message saying you fucking suck, please kill yourself, you whatever it is they say with the C word, like that these are horrible attacks on people, and it's I feel like these people are not movie fans. Angry? Even if they are movie fans, even if they are game fans, right? Why does it make you angry to the point that you need to threaten another human being? Right. It's entertainment. If you're not entertained, decide not to consume this product.
Right.
The creators of Dishonored and Deathloop are some of my favorite games. They're making a game that's sort of like online, and that's not my jam. I will miss that one, and I'll probably get them on the next one, and it frees me up to play other things. And it's the same thing about movies. If this isn't your sort of thing, don't watch it. Walk out the cinema and go and watch something else. Right. Like, it's and I'm spending all this money. Okay, I understand gamers spend $70 on a game, right? But it's not like there isn't a wealth of information out there about the game before you buy it. You don't have to pre-order it. You don't have to be all fanboy and go all in on it, right? Wait until the game is released and then make an informed decision. And by the way, before sending a message to the developer telling them that they can kill themselves, remember that there's a person with a life and a sleep cycle and a family and all those things, and they are sensitive to these things. Right. And there's no need for it.
I feel like when we do it, like when we're sort of reviewing something, first of all, that's the nature of it. We're critiquing, but also we do it in jest a lot of the time. Like the Avengers, we rip that movie apart. Yeah, but it is hilarious.
Yeah,
and I feel like,
and I don't think it's lost on the people who made it how silly it is.
Yeah, but look, I wouldn't go to like Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson and say you ruined my my beloved James Bond or whatever. Like it's got to a point where I've gone, this is this movie and I don't like it, but there have been 24 movies before it, and there will be probably 25 movies after it, and the fact is that you've got to take it. There are people who live and breathe these kinds of things. Like, I remember reading about people who, in 2009 when Avatar came out, they immersed themselves in that world of Pandora, and it seemed kind of unhealthy because that was all that they had, and they wanted to sort of like be Na'vi and be a part of that world, and that's all great and everything, but there's a certain amount of like sort of taking it overboard, and I'm sure if James Cameron came out with with something that those fans didn't like in the upcoming sequels to Avatar, that there would be a sort of explosion on Twitter. I think Twitter is the problem here. It's given people like the crazies,
it's Facebook as well. Yeah, it's all over the place.
It's the platform of being able to sort of like talk back.
It's also the hiding behind the keyboard and things like that. Like, absolutely. You would say things to someone from behind a keyboard that you wouldn't say in real life, and that's also why I always say to you, please stop getting into arguments with stupid people on Facebook groups, because here's the thing, I noticed something. You are with your people in the Empire group. Yeah. Like, those guys are friggin' lovely. Like I've yet to see a nasty post in that group. Yeah. Whereas in some of the game development groups that I'm in, even the working gamers groups, where people are not only they give their harsh critiques about games, but then if someone says that they enjoyed it, they start attacking them. Like, it's really
there's definitely a disregard for personal opinion and taste, etc., etc. I don't get it. How can you be wrong about stating a preference?
Well, this is what's so beautiful about this, is that that you were just mentioning the No Time to Die episode. So my friend who doesn't live here anymore, he moved to Boston, but like he's I hope he's listening to this. Hey, but like he said to me, I listened to your No Time to Die episode and I loved it, but I really didn't agree with what you guys said. And we sat down and like for half an hour we were talking about the James Bond movie. He's never he hasn't seen the others or something, or he hasn't read the books or whatever. And we were like talking about it. And to me, that was why I do this. This is why I want to do the podcast, is because I want people to start talking to me about why they did like something, and then we can compare ideas.
Right.
And we came away from it not really agreeing with each other, but at the same time, it was such a pleasant conversation over the most addictive crisps I've ever eaten in my life. Snyder's like the flavor was like jalapeno and something. It was just the most addictive thing, and it was like whiskey as well. It was great. Anyway, sorry, go on.
So I thrive on debate. I enjoy having debates with people about this kind of thing, and there was a guy that posted an article. The title of it was Sorry Millennials, Jurassic Park has never been a good movie. And that just like, it incensed people. This was on the Empire group, and I started like a discussion with this guy, and after a while he said to me, I don't understand why you have to be so childish and get personal. Now, I didn't say a single thing that was personal to this guy. I don't know this guy.
What did you say?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. I talked about, how this guy is stating a personal opinion as fact, and basically making a blanket remark about an entire generation being wrong about a movie that it's like saying something's overrated. It's very arrogant to say like, oh, this movie's overrated.
I figured it out and none of you have.
Right, exactly. I know something you don't. And I had this whole conversation, and then a whole bunch of people came to my defense and all that kind of stuff. And
I love being in that group.
Yeah.
I also don't feel. Have you noticed that I also comment on some of those posts?
Yeah.
Like I feel I never comment on anything in any Facebook group ever.
Yeah.
Like, because my rule is, people are crazy and it upsets me,
right,
and I don't want to be upset, so I'm not getting into it. But like, sometimes I've like written like a whole long paragraph thing, and then I'm like, okay, I've written it, I don't need to post it, right. and I erase it. I know that sounds like a waste of time, but it's just, I know what's going to happen, and it's just going to upset me. In the Empire group, I feel like there's someone to talk to. There's people. There's people, absolutely, like-minded people who are polite, absolutely, and kind and nerdy, and
but also,
and all that stuff.
Those are all the people that get all the references. So you can always like make a reference, and and people get it, and it's just fun. I find it fun, that group.
Serious shout out to the admins and the members of that group for keeping such a nice, clean
absolutely
house.
Absolutely. So this guy on the with the whole Jurassic Park thing. So the point of that story was that my reply to that whole thing of like, oh, you're getting personal and blah, 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 was, I thought we were debating the merits of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That was my end game with that discussion, was just to kind of prove my point, as it were, and have a discussion. And I enjoy that, but it's when people don't know how to do that and sort of take it personally, because look, your opinion is valid just like my opinion's valid. We're just having a discussion here.
Yeah, it's also about how you, again, it's like the criticism. It's about how you present it. Like when you say, sorry millennials, this isn't good.
Yeah, you're just baiting.
It's again, you're doing it for the effect of and you could say, I just watched Jurassic Park and I don't understand why everybody from this generation really, really likes it.
Can somebody explain it to me, please?
Explain it to me? No, and then you're opening up a dialogue.
There is that as well. Like, I've seen people post on the Empire group and they say, I'm sorry guys, I just don't get this. Like, what's so great about it? It's just not clicking with me. And it's great because it's an open discussion, which this guy's sort of admitting that like that he didn't like it or she didn't like it,
which is also a very dangerous thing to do now, because if a lot of people like something and you don't like it, woe betide you if you say it out loud. So that's putting themselves in a sort of place of vulnerability, right? And so you also feel that you can then approach that person with your opinion because they are, but that's the difference. It's like the difference between sort of, here's a cake, let's eat it together, and here's a brick, let me hit you with it. Like, that's the difference, right? I often feel that, when someone is like, nope, this is shit, with that meme, with that guy sitting at the table with
change my mind.
Change my mind. Those I immediately scroll past, because you're only trying to spark or incite an argument.
But
right?
it always like breaks the tension.
And why should I fucking change your mind? Why do I have to do that? Like, it's not my job.
That's not my job.
That's
why should I care what your opinion is?
Enjoy being stupid. I don't.
No, but it always breaks the tension when somebody posts that Mad Max Tom Hardy meme that like that's bait,
Right.
you know. But I feel like in my real life, aside from you, I don't really have anybody to sort of have in-depth discussions with about movies. So that kind of like closes that off for me.
That's a nice
like
place.
Yeah, it's like sort of closes that gap. I did have an experience a couple of days ago where there was a post on Dawn of the Discs about a new release of Cool World.
What is Dawn of the Discs?
Dawn of the Discs
sort of like Blu-ray group?
Yeah, it's a group about like Blu-rays and 4K and news and whatever.
This is like your home. That's where you live. That's your warm blanket.
So somebody
warm blanket. Dear
boy, you're not Job, are you? Oh, really? So the post was about Cool World being released on Blu-ray by Shout Select, and I wrote, hey, I've always wanted this movie on Blu-ray, said nobody ever. And to be fair, I was being a bit
insightful.
of a dick. Yeah, I was being a bit of a dick. And there are certain people that came... It sort of opened up a discussion because there were certain people that came back and said, you know what? This movie is absolutely 100% awful, and I fully admit that, but I love it for some reason. And that was just an interesting to chat to those people to find out why they love this movie, because it is universally derided, and I also think it's complete and utter shite. But you know that, like, I said to one guy there's an audience for everything.
Yeah,
you know, and there are people who are like who like this movie has a cult following and whatever. I was just being silly, basically.
Yeah.
And Michael, who's a friend of mine, wrote back and he said, "You must not be a movie fan then." And Mike, with all due respect, mate,
it's incorrect, and you know it's incorrect.
No, because like even people who didn't know me on that thing knew that I was being a dick. You know, I was just being silly. You know, but the fact is, it is I'm just like playing on the fact that it is universally derided and it's pretty rubbish. Even though I love the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings and I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit, both of those things directly fed into the creation of Cool World. I also love Kim Basinger and Gabriel Byrne and Brad Pitt. But the fact is that movie did not come together. But anyway, that's I deGrasse. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
This is the point of this segment. I know this is like really duh and all that, but just please, just an extra second to be kind to people. Okay, you don't know them, but that doesn't mean that you can just say what you want.
Right.
So please, just a little bit of kindness.
Yep.
What's our seat number?
Bonus.